a quick review of the tools and spares that I carry with me on my bikepacking trips. First thing is some chain lube. I've got wet lube because usually we do our bikepacking in the wet winter months here in WA. So I've got a wet lube, but I also carry with me a little rag that I can use to just clean the chain before I lubricate it. You can see this one is used, and usually I chuck these away at the end of the trip, but really handy to have one of those. Then I've also got this Gerber dime multi-tool. It's got a little pliers, and the pliers have got side cutters in, but the best part of these this little tool is that it has a pair of scissors. It's got a pair of scissors that comes in really handy. It's also got a blade, it's got a screwdriver, it's got a bottle opener as well. So it's got all the major things that you'd need when you are doing a bikepacking trip. Really handy little tool. Then I've got my multi-tool. This is a giant multi-tool. It is quite narrow. It's a really flat design, so it doesn't take up a lot of space. It is, as tools go, it's not too heavy, but it's not, I think you can go lighter than this. But I have used this tool in anger, and it's definitely held up really well. I've used it to torque some of the bolts on my seat post, and had to put in a lot of torque, so this one stood up really well. It's also got a chain brake tool, which is really handy, and I've used this as well, and it works perfectly fine. Anyways, really good tool. It's got all the basic things that you need, and it's made by Giant, so it is really sturdy. I really trust this little tool. I've then got my derailleur hanger. So this is the derailleur hanger for my specific Giant bike. I've not used this one. For my next long trip, I will also take the derailleur plates, the plates that actually separates the two jockey wheels on the derailleur, because in my previous ride those plates failed, not the hanger. Then I've got a set of brake pads. The brake pads, I've only got one pair here, but I will buy another set. I usually carry two with me. I've used the one. Next, I've got tube patches, and these patches are yes, for people that run tubes, which I am one. You can crucify me for that if you want, but I still run tubes, so I've got patches for tubes. I do carry one or two, usually one spare tube as well. I've not had many troubles, given I'm riding with Schwalbe tires. That's patches. Then I've got a quick chain link. So these ones are really handy once you've broken your chain to repair it, to put it back together again. This is the easiest way to do it, and you have to buy a quick link that's appropriate to the size of the chain. So this is for a 10-speed mountain bike chain. So I've got two of those, and I will always carry two because it's inevitable. It's likely to use one, and you don't want to be able without a spare. Then I've got a chain pin. So this is a long pin, so you can use this one to insert into the chain, and then this end breaks off. This little end, I don't know if you can see it. It's just a chain pin. And then I've also got a little ferrule that's used for the ends of a cable. So the derailleur cable, for instance, if it's frayed and you've cut it off, you can put this in put the cable end into this ferrule, and you can crimp it using the pliers, so that ends off your cable nice and neatly. Then I've got a fiber spoke, and I've also got the instructions for the fiber spoke. Now the fiber spoke is to replace a spoke in case you've broken a spoke. This will provide you with a temporary solution to deal with a rim that's potentially bent due to a failed spoke. So this is just an emergency backup, and obviously once you get to a town, it's better to get the spoke replaced. With the fiber spoke, there's instructions, so it is quite complicated to install, so it's very important to carry the instructions or memorize it from YouTube, but my assumption is that I won't have access to YouTube, so I carry the instructions with me. What I also carry with me is a spare nipple for a spoke. I use heavy gauge spokes, so this one will fit into my rims and will fit my spokes. I have had many times where the failure was the actual nipple and not the spoke itself, so I carry at least one spare nipple. Then I've got electrical tape to fix whatever I need to fix, and I've also got some duct tape. So I probably don't need both, but I've got both in case I need either. So I've got a roll of duct tape just rolled up onto itself. There's many ways you can do that. I've got those two, and then I've got a few extra cable ties. These long cable ties I use for my fork brackets, so the brackets that go into my fork, so I do take at least one or two extras, and this can also be used for if some of the straps come loose or straps break off. So I usually carry not only these two, but I carry a little bundle of cable ties. So that's the story for tools and spares. It's a fairly basic setup. I think you can still go much further than this, but this will get most people started.